have job security. It's I think I said this last week, but it's weighing a little heavy.
Yeah.
It's a little bit draining. You know, we go to work with a positive attitude, but it's I don't know how else to explain it. It's weighing on us.
Yes.
You know, we spoke last week about Anthony Diaz, who was a Toledo police officer who passed away. And I don't want to make this a whole sad thing again, but now there was 2 more in Texas. Right?
Yes, they were ambushed. And I don't know, and again, just like the Anthony Diaz, I don't know the exact details. I just know that
they were ambushed.
They were ambushed.
And they were going to a domestic call.
Which is a common, unfortunately, when officers get ambushed, generally it comes on those types of calls. Because either the significant other knows that the other one called and they're either waiting. You know, I don't think it was one of those things where they were baiting officers to come. You know what I'm saying? Where they've called people there knowing that that's what they're doing there specifically. Whereas this was called and then it just...
And that's why we spoke about it yesterday. And like always, I gotta always say, you know, we won't go into certain details about certain things. But where I mentioned yesterday, you know, I don't care what the call is. I'm not going to have anybody around me go alone. If I'm available to go, back them up. Nor am I going to go anywhere without a backup. And we say it, and it makes 100% perfect common sense. But sometimes we got to catch ourselves, because you get that call in the heat of the moment. You want to go help people, and you got to think our safety as well. And I remember, you know, 10 years ago or whatever it was, talking about that in the academy. You know, you remember certain things, and we know, I don't want to know the percentage, 80%, 90%. You learn, you know, once you get on the actual job, that what you learn in the academy, a lot of it is like...
Well, it's to pass the state exam.
It's to pass the state exam, and it's not real world per se. But there's some things that you remember, just like I don't know about you, but there's some things that I remember, like my field training officers telling me, and it always stuck with me. But I remember talking about, like, in one of the classes in the academy, talking about domestics. We're like, what do you do if, you know, you get the call and the dude is, or the girl is beating the living shit out of the other person, and you get there by yourself? You go in, right? And the instructor was like, no, you don't know what you're walking into. You got to wait for your backup. And that's tough, because you want to help. You want to be a difference maker, and you want to try to solve the problem, but you got to think about your own safety. The number one, you know, rule in our job is to go home safe. Go home to Aiden, me to go home to Frank, Mia, you know, Jacob and Christy. And so, you know, we mentioned just yesterday where an officer nearby was sent to a VIN verification. This is where everything going on, where my mind goes. I don't know for 100% sure it's a VIN verification.
Right. You never know. And that's what I talked about.
Who's to stop somebody from calling us for a VIN verification and just waiting for us to show up and blow our brains out? So they send this officer by herself, and I went with her. Where a year ago they wouldn't send 2 officers for that. You know what I'm saying? So
agreed. Listen, the parades, you know, with the fire department and us, where I know they just had us do them yesterday, but when all this stuff started happening, they stopped us from going to any of them, because they know people know where we're going to be. They don't know if we're going to be attacked, so they stopped that stuff. So I get it, you know, stuff the mundane stuff that you don't know. And I've been going to a lot of extra calls because of that, because you just don't know. Even if I'd rather it be nothing than, you know.
I think, and I know we both have. You know, you'll do your responsibilities for your unit, and I'll definitely, whatever, you know, since they're kind of moving me around now, I'll cover whatever zone I'm in. But also, if, you know, if I'm free and available, especially since they don't want us to be super proactive and making, you know, a whole lot of traffic stops, so we're not kind of limit how much contact we come in with the public.
And that's part of a lot of that. Believe it or not, was even with the pandemic. It had nothing to do with anything else. That's part of that.
Oh yeah. No, especially because of the pandemic. But so anytime that we can go to a call and help, there's strength in numbers, and that's something people don't realize. But you know, but it's